Hizmet has adopted an approach of values rather than identities and slogans, and it invites people to come to those values rather than to identities, because identities will create conflict. My name is Inamul Haq, and as you can see from my physical features that I am from South Asia, specifically from the country of Pakistan. That is where I was born and raised, and I received my education in various religious institutions and at the University of Karachi and at International Islamic University in Islamabad. I came to United States in 1982, and I taught introductory courses at Bernadine, at UIC, at Loyola, and currently my main job is at Elmhurst College, where I teach courses on Islam, and I am also Muslim co-chaplain, and I also work with Niebuhr Center for Faith and Action, which is our institute for social work and interfaith work. Hizmet has adopted an approach of values rather than identities and slogans. So Hizmet is not saying that here is only one group, if you join them then it is Islam, otherwise it's not. That is not what they are doing. What they are asking to every Muslim, that why don't you go back to the core of your belief? Why don't you look at the values of Islam and stick to them? So I think this discrete style of Hizmet is very good, and it makes them more flexible, and it creates possibility for them to work in a very different and sometimes very difficult environment, because they are not generating conflict. They are saying these are the values, these are the goals, and do you agree with us or not? And it invites people to come to those values rather than to identities, because identities will create conflict. Values will create relationship. Nobody can disagree with honesty, integrity, truth, knowledge, education, generosity, social justice, interfaith peace and harmony and relationship. Everybody can see the good in these values. But if I just shout Islam, 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 then he will say I'm Christian, I have nothing to do with you. Other will say I'm Hindu, I have nothing to do with you. So it will necessarily create walls and boundaries. The movement has capacity to build relationship across the board, and that's very important. Okay, like I gave you example that now Pakistan has, I don't know how many, 25 or some Pak Turk schools. Okay, and they are highly popular in the country. I don't see any other Muslim organization in the world who could come to Pakistan and build a school, and that school should attract people. I don't see that. There are 22 Arab countries, okay, the whole Middle East. You do not find one single group there, Muslim party, group, ideological movement, that they could come to Pakistan and build a school which should attract. Okay. Now that is not criticizing them, but showing the limitation of certain thought, that the thought is so parochial that it is virtually impossible for that thought to go in a foreign and different culture and operate there, because it is so colloquial. So, and I think that Hizmet has this capacity. It can go in a very foreign culture, in a totally different culture, sometimes a culture which is not Islamic, sometimes a culture which is hostile, and they do face hostility sometimes, but still they may build something and say, this is our school, this is our interfaith activity, this is our social justice, social welfare network. I think this is also based on Fethullah Gulen and Hizmet's long-term vision, because school really represents long-term vision, because whatever you are doing through school will not be seen today. Okay? It will be seen after a long time. Through education you are cultivating the future, and I think that the benefit of these schools is being felt now, and it will be felt in the future more. When you have a generation of young people who will come out of these schools, and these people have learned, first of all, their capacity in modern sciences is not weak, so they harbor no inferiority complex, because they are well versed in modern sciences, modern technologies, and they have inculcated the values. Okay? So the way they will connect with other people, the way they will look at the problems of the world is going to be very different than we who went to parochial schools, government schools, understood issues always in our narrow limited sense. So I think that you are creating a global elite here. You are really creating a global elite who will play an important role in tomorrow's world. If you look at the United States and in the Muslim world in general, you will see that Muslims have come to interfaith pretty much after 9/11. Before 9/11, activity is extremely small and limited. So it was more a kind of survival instinct and a social response to a tragedy, rather than a very well considered philosophy and policy for the long term. Hizmet and Fethullah Gulen realized this much earlier, and they realized its value in the context of globalization. Okay? That in the modern world we cannot afford to be ignorant of the other. We need to know our neighbor. We have to exist with this neighbor. We have to have relationship with this neighbor. And I think that, as I said, it goes back to that the way Fethullah Gulen looked at the core of religion. He really did not look at towards religion as identity politics, but he looked at religion in terms of universal moral values. We have Muslim community here for past 40 years. And there are very strong communities and mosques, that they are nicely built, proper mosques in the Chicago area. And some of them are 20, 25 years old. Okay? But when Niagara came about 10 years ago, the way Niagara quickly connected with everybody in the city amazed all of us, because these people did not need to start from zero as we were starting. They already have maybe 20 years of experience and teaching and writing coming from their leader, okay, versus a teaching and writing which was always telling them that Christians are enemy and Jews are enemy and this is false and that is wrong. And here another teaching was coming to these people that you are here to love the whole humanity, to serve the whole humanity and build the relationships. So the thing is that the reason you succeeded because you did not have psychological impediments which other people had. To take care of those who are destitute is one of the religious and moral obligation. And I think it is this perspective from which Hizmet'e is operating in various parts of the world. By doing that, they are bringing out the humane aspect of Islam also. That if there is Islam which comes in the news because of violence and terrorist activity, there is also another Islam of generosity and humanity and compassion which people are seeing is working and operating through these charitable institutions when you reach out to the people and help them. So I think it's very, very commendable job, and we are living in a world which is really broken and where we are facing two huge problems. One is natural catastrophes which are coming because of the ecological crisis which we have, and the second is human catastrophes. The wars, the civil wars, the sectarian conflicts, ethnic conflicts, which are also creating huge population of refugees, orphans, widows. So to take care of them is an obligation for everyone, and I think that Hizmet'e's work is commended in that respect. I'm not very familiar with the Turkish political scene because I don't study it or observe it very closely. But whatever little bit comes out, it shows a typical pattern of human capacity to go wrong, human folly, which always comes, which comes with success, which comes with power. Like there is a poor man, he becomes rich, and you see as soon as he becomes rich how his attitudes have changed. And now he is starting to insult everyone who was yesterday his friend, his relative. And so these are actually human follies which we always encounter. And as I said, that if man is not vigilant and very careful, he becomes the victim of that. And I find this criticism very, I should say, extremely unjust and mean-spirited, coming from very mean sentiments of human self, that you when you have problem with, even if you have problem with your friends, you don't act in a way as they are your enemies and ignore everything, that how in the past you worked together and you cooperated with each other. But again, this is the problem of power. This is the problem of power, that when some people get the power, it's hard for them to keep the balance. Muslim world is so deprived of good leaders and strong leaders that sometimes if some leader comes, people tend to give him an unconditional obedience and appreciation. Okay? We saw that in case of Jamal Nasser. We saw that in case of Saddam Hussein. We saw that in case of Gaddafi also in the 70s and 80s. And what happens that because of this hunger for a strong leader, sometimes the societies fail to see that the ultimate strength of society is not in the person but in the institutions. And it's very dangerous. Hitler was popular leader, and I hope and pray that Hizmet'e manages it with wisdom and with care, so that this enormous good which has been achieved and built, that it's not damaged.